Hey guys, the main part of the IA rubric that I wanted to talk to you about today was criterion B, mathematical communication. When you are writing your IA, it's going to be really important that you communicate mathematically in the appropriate way, so that way the person who's grading your IA knows exactly what you're talking about. Um, we're trying to hit those threes and fours, of course. So let's read through the criteria for a three and a four. The mathematical communication is relevant, appropriate, and is mostly consistent. That's a three. The mathematical communication is relevant, appropriate, and consistent throughout. That's a four. So basically, mathematical communication wants to see that you use appropriate mathematical language, such as notation, symbols, terminology. Like if you're generating an equation that models phenomena, you're going to want to label that equation h of t, right? Height is a function of time, something like that. Your calculator and computer notation is acceptable only if it is software generated. So when you are doing your graphs and stuff, just be careful that you're using the appropriate notation, symbols, and terminology. Everything's labeled. Don't just screenshot something from your calculator and then pop it into your IA. That's not going to be okay. Make sure that you're using Desmos. Things look good. You have to define all your key terms and variables where required. So let's say you did make that graph of h of t, or height is a function of time. You're going to want to describe where t is time in seconds, where h of t is height of the volleyball in feet, right? You also want to make sure that you use multiple forms of mathematical representation. So you're going to want to use formulas, diagrams, tables, charts, graphs, models. You want to make it as clear as possible exactly what you're talking about. If you're doing proofs or anything like that, just make sure that you use the appropriate notation, QED, left-hand side equals right-hand side, stuff like that. If you don't label your graphs, you could just get a 1, which is pretty bad. And then level 4 can be achieved by using only one form of mathematical representation, as long as this is appropriate to the topic being explored. Also, don't worry about minor errors that don't inhibit communication. Those, as long as the rest of your math is good, will not bump you out of that 4 level. Personal engagement. So personal engagement is super important. It's not enough for you to just be like, I chose gymnastics because I've done gymnastics for 10 years. Like, no. What they want to see for personal engagement is like, I was watching Netflix one day and this crazy show came on and it was talking all about the shapes of the bridges in Italy. And then when I went to Italy, I like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to have a story, you want to have a reason behind why you're investigating this phenomena, the situation, right? Take us there, make it interesting. um, the rubric does distinguish between significant and outstanding personal engagement. Significant personal engagement is when the student demonstrates authentic personal engagement in the exploration on a few occasions, and it's evident that these drive the exploration forward. So, like, let's say you're designing an experiment and you find that, like, the length of string that you're using is inappropriate, and you have a picture of the way that, like, the string wasn't hitting where you needed it to hit on your pendulum, and then you made a new pendulum and the string was more appropriate now. Like, that shows significant engagement. Like, you are really engaged in the math here. You know how to make changes to make your experiment better, and you documented it along the way. Outstanding personal engagement is authentic personal engagement in the exploration in numerous instances in there of high quality. Let's see. And then reflection. So, in order to get substantial evidence of critical reflection or a level 3 in your reflection, you need to make sure that you have meaningful reflection, linking to the aims of exploration, commenting on what you have learned and why it's important. Also, you need to consider limitations or comparing different mathematical approaches. Could I have done it this way and it would have come out better? Maybe. Mentioning stuff like that. Let's see. Use of mathematics. This is really important. So if you're doing probability trees, make sure that your probability trees are made in Microsoft OneNote. I can show you how to do that. You don't want to just be like submitting pictures of things that are handwritten. You want to be using the equation tool in Google Docs. Yeah, you want to make sure that everything looks official. In the examples that you read through earlier, like, everything was typed out, everything was easy to follow. You need to make sure that your IA is the same. Okay, I think that's kind of it for now. Relevant mathematics are going to be something that we learned about this year. I think most of you ran your topics by me and they should be okay. If at any point I mentioned that I was nervous about the level of math that you chose, then like maybe we need to make it a little more robust. The earlier you can get your data collection in, the better, because then I can help you kind of make changes before the deadline of the data, which is 12/22. So make sure you read through this and you have it in your own terms, in your own brain. And this is me just kind of sounding off about it. Okay, great. Have a nice day.